Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the shop. We're about to dive into some seriously cool woodworking tricks. We're talking the kind of stuff that'll make you feel like you can build anything, even if you're just starting out. We're gonna cover everything from measuring like a pro to clamping like you've been doing this for years. And hey, even if you're a seasoned woodworker, I guarantee you'll pick up some new tricks along the way. So grab your safety glasses and your favorite tape measure, and let's get our hands dirty. I'm excited to share these tips with you, so let's fire up the saws and get to work. Alright, first things first, measuring. You know what they say? Measure twice, cut once. But let's be real, sometimes even after measuring twice we still mess up, right? So here's a little trick I use all the time. Instead of just marking your measurements with a pencil, use a knife or a sharp chisel to make a small notch. This little notch will not only mark your spot but also prevent your saw blade from wandering when you make the cut. And speaking of saws, let's talk about those little hash marks on your tape measure. You know, the ones that are all bunched together? Well, those aren't just for decoration. Those marks actually indicate standard stud spacing, which is super helpful for framing projects. Now let's talk about angles. Sometimes you need to find a weird angle, and that's where a bevel gauge comes in handy. But what if you don't have one? No worries. Grab a scrap piece of cardboard and cut it to the angle you need. Boom! Instant bevel gauge. And here's a bonus tip. When measuring for long cuts, don't trust your tape measure alone. Use a straight piece of lumber as a guide to keep your cuts nice and straight. It's like having an extra set of hands. Alright, let's talk about cutting wood. There's nothing more satisfying than a nice clean cut. But getting there? Well, that can be a bit of a struggle. First up, let's talk about saw blades. Using the right blade for the job is crucial. A dull blade will tear up your wood and make your life miserable. So keep your blade sharp. And if you're working with hardwoods, consider using a higher tooth count blade for a smoother cut. Now when you're cutting with a circular saw or a jigsaw, it's always a good idea to score your cut line first. This helps prevent tear out, especially on plywood. Just lightly run your saw along the cut line, and then you can go back and make your full cut. And here's a tip I learned the hard way. When cutting long boards with a circular saw, support the cutoff piece as you're nearing the end. Otherwise, you risk the wood collapsing and pinching your blade, or worse, causing a dangerous kickback. Safety first, folks. Now if you're using a handsaw, remember to keep your wrist straight and use your whole arm to make the cut. And don't be afraid to put some muscle into it. A little bit of effort goes a long way. Trust me, your arms will thank me later. Clamps, clamps, clamps. They are the unsung heroes of any woodworking project. You can never have too many clamps, right? They come in all shapes and sizes, each with its own unique purpose. But let's be honest, there are times when even a whole arsenal of clamps isn't enough. Sometimes the piece you're working on just doesn't fit any of your clamps. So, what do you do when you're faced with a tricky clamping situation? You get creative. Thinking outside the box can often lead to the best solutions. One of my favorite tricks is to use wedges to create pressure. Wedges are incredibly versatile and can be made from scrap wood. Just cut a few wedges out of scrap wood, and you can use them to tighten up joints, secure workpieces to your bench, or even spread glue evenly. They are simple, yet effective. Wedges are a woodworker's best friend. They can be the difference between a successful project and a frustrating one. And speaking of glue-ups, here's another handy tip. Use painter's tape to create temporary clamping surfaces. It's a simple trick that can save you a lot of hassle. Just run a strip of tape along the edges of your workpieces, apply your glue, and then clamp as usual. The tape acts as a barrier. The tape will prevent the clamps from marring your wood, and it peels off easily once the glue is dry. This ensures a clean finish. Now what if you need to clamp something round or oddly shaped? Traditional clamps might not work here. That's where a band clamp comes in handy. It's designed to handle those tricky shapes. A band clamp is like a giant rubber band that you can wrap around your workpiece to apply even pressure. It's flexible and strong. It's a lifesaver for projects like chairs, drums, or anything else with curves. It ensures even pressure all around. And here's a bonus tip. If you're working with delicate pieces that you don't want to damage, use soft jaws on your clamps. This is crucial for fine woodworking. You can make your own soft jaws by gluing pieces of leather or cork to the jaws of your clamps. It's an easy DIY project. This will protect your workpiece from scratches and dents, ensuring that your finished product looks professional and polished. Alright, let's talk about drilling. Drilling a straight hole seems simple enough, right? But there's more to it than just picking up a drill and going at it. But if you've ever drilled a hole that ended up in the wrong spot or at the wrong angle, you know it's not always as easy as it looks. Misaligned holes can ruin your project and waste materials. The key to accurate drilling is to start with a good center punch. This simple tool can make a world of difference. A center punch creates a small dimple in your workpiece, which helps to guide your drill bit and prevent it from wandering. This initial step is crucial for precision. Just align your drill bit with the center punch mark, and you're good to go. This alignment ensures that your hole starts exactly where you want it. Now, if you're drilling deep holes, it's important to clear the chips regularly. This prevents clogging and keeps your work area clean. Otherwise, the chips can build up in the hole and cause your drill bit to bind or overheat. Overheating can dull your bit and make drilling more difficult. To clear the chips, simply pull the drill bit out of the hole every few seconds and blow away the debris. This simple action can save you a lot of trouble. And here's a tip I learned from a machinist friend of mine. When drilling metal, use cutting oil to lubricate the drill bit and reduce heat buildup. This is especially important for harder materials. This will help to extend the life of your drill bit and prevent it from breaking. A well-maintained bit is essential for consistent results. Now, if you need to drill a perfectly perpendicular hole, a drill press is the way to go. It provides stability and precision that handheld drills can't match. But what if you don't have a drill press? Not everyone has access to one, and that's okay. No worries. You can use a speed square or a combination square to help you keep your drill bit straight. These tools are versatile and easy to use. Just hold the square against your workpiece and use it as a guide for your drill. This method ensures that your holes are straight and accurate, even without a drill press. Alright, we've measured, we've cut, we've clamped, we've drilled. Now it's time for the fun part, sanding and finishing. This is where your woodworking project really starts to come to life. When it comes to sanding, the key is to use a progression of grits, starting with a coarse grit to remove material and working your way up to a fine grit for a smooth finish. And don't be afraid to get into those nooks and crannies. Now, when you're sanding curves or contoured surfaces, you can't beat a good sanding sponge. Sanding sponges are flexible and conform to the shape of your workpiece, making them ideal for getting into tight spots. And here's a tip for getting a super smooth finish. After you've sanded through your grits, wipe down your workpiece with a damp cloth to raise the grain. This will make any remaining fibers stand up, and you can then lightly sand them away for a glass-like finish. Now let's talk about finishing. There are a million different finishes out there, but my go-to is a simple oil and wax blend. It's easy to apply, it brings out the natural beauty of the wood, and it provides a durable finish that's easy to repair. Let's face it, a cluttered workspace can kill your creativity and slow you down. So let's talk about some smart storage solutions that will keep your tools organized and your mind clear. One of my favorite ways to organize tools is with a pegboard. Pegboards are inexpensive, easy to install, and incredibly versatile. You can use them to hang everything from hand tools to power tools to clamps. And the best part is, you can customize your pegboard layout to fit your specific needs. Another great storage solution is a rolling tool cart. A tool cart is like a portable workshop, allowing you to keep all of your essential tools within arm's reach. You can find tool carts in a variety of sizes and configurations to fit your space and budget. Now, if you're short on floor space, don't despair. You can create vertical storage by installing shelves above your workbench. Shelves are a great way to store items that you don't use every day, such as paint cans, finishing supplies, and extra lumber. And here's a bonus tip. Use clear storage containers to store small parts and hardware. Clear containers make it easy to see what's inside, and they help to keep your drawers and shelves organized. We've all been there. You're working on a project and something goes wrong. It can be frustrating, but it's important to remember that mistakes are part of the process. Maybe you make a mistake cut, or maybe you accidentally dent your workpiece. Don't panic, these things happen to everyone, even the pros. There's usually a quick fix for most woodworking woes. With a bit of patience and the right approach, you can often turn a mistake into a learning opportunity. One of the most common woodworking mistakes is oversanding. It's easy to get carried away, but don't worry if you do. If you sand through the veneer on a piece of plywood, don't fret. This is a common issue and can be fixed with a bit of creativity. You can often repair the damage with a bit of wood filler and some careful sanding. The key is to take your time and ensure a smooth finish. And speaking of repairs, here's a great tip for filling nail holes or small gaps. It can make your project look seamless. Use a mixture of sawdust and wood glue. This blend matches the wood perfectly and creates a strong bond. Simply mix together some sawdust from your project with a bit of wood glue until you have a thick paste. This paste can be a lifesaver for small imperfections. Apply the paste to the hole or gap, let it dry, and then sand it smooth. The result is a nearly invisible repair. Now what if you accidentally spill some glue on your workpiece? It happens more often than you'd think. Don't try to wipe it off. This can spread the glue and make the problem worse. The best way to remove dried glue is to soften it with a bit of heat. This makes it much easier to handle. You can use a hairdryer or a heat gun to soften the glue, and then you can scrape it away with a putty knife. This method is both effective and gentle on your workpiece. And here's a bonus tip. It's all about keeping your tools in top shape. If you're working with a chisel and it starts to dull, you can often hone the edge back to sharpness with a piece of leather. This simple trick can save you a lot of time. Just rub the chisel back and forth over the leather a few times, and you'll be back in business. Keeping your tools sharp ensures precision and ease in your woodworking projects. There you have it, a whole bunch of genius woodworking tricks to up your game. Remember, woodworking is all about having fun and creating something with your own two hands. So don't be afraid to experiment, try new things, and most importantly, don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we learn and grow. Now go out there, get creative and build something awesome. And don't forget to share your creations with us in the comments below. We love to see what you're making. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.